I always think that the readings and the liturgy, the music on Good Friday captures the sorrow of it, but it doesn't capture the whole scope. It doesn't capture the anxiety of it. It doesn't capture the fear. It doesn't capture the pain, physical and otherwise. The story itself does. Who stays beneath your cross when everybody else has fled? When your dark Good Friday is upon you, who stays with you to the end? Somebody might send you a kind text wishing you well, maybe even an old-fashioned Hallmark card when you're in your darkest hour. Some will ask about you and tell people on Facebook to pray for you. Many will like the posts on social media that express solidarity with your tribe and its plight. But who's actually going to stick it out with you? Who is truly going to stand beside you, or maybe even between you and your bully? Who's going to stand beneath your cross to the bitter end? In John's telling of the crucifixion, in which we have a slightly cockier Jesus than in the other Gospels, in John's telling of the crucifixion, there were 5 people who stuck it out with Jesus, who stayed to the bitter end when the others fled into the night. There were 5 people who took their chances and made it clear that they were Jesus' friends and followers. These were Mary, Jesus' mother, one of the many Marys, and an unnamed aunt of Jesus, the mother of Mary, or the sister of Mary, and another Mary, who is only identified as the wife of Clopas. And I guess if you were named Mary at that time, you'd have to be identified by your husband's name. There were just so many of them. And of course, there was Mary Magdalene. And then there was John himself, the beloved disciple. Peter, where's that guy? James, John, where are they? They were his 3 besties. They're gone. They've abandoned him to a man. The other 9 disciples, well, we know where Judas went. Andrew, Philip, Thomas, as soon as they saw that cat of 9 tails, they remembered something else they had to do. Someplace else they had to be. Those crowds that used to push in on him so tightly that he had to get out in a boat on a lake to preach because they just pushed in so tightly. Where are they? The ones he healed, the ones he fed, the ones he taught, the ones to whom he gave hope, the ones he called blessed, the ones he called beloved. Where are they? They're scared for themselves. They hate what's happening to Jesus, sure. They loved him, but not enough to risk their own skins. They might complain about the crucifixion on Instagram. They might send a supportive text. But who stands with you when you're on your cross? Who refuses to let go of your hand? And even in death, they prepare perfume to visit your grave. I have a close friend from seminary. I spoke about him last night at the Maundy Thursday service. He's been in the hospital for about 2 weeks now. He's one of those old friends that you don't really bother to keep in touch with very well, but who's always out there, and you know you're going to get together soon. He'll always be there. You don't need to check in with each other all that often because, what do you do? Talk on the phone? I don't really do that very much. And the relationship's not going to go away. And when you do see such a friend, it's always right back the way it was. The familiarity, the openness, it's right where you left it. And for that reason, he and I just didn't really keep in touch down through the years. I always thought I'd just call him up someday. We'd take a hike, go to lunch. He's a pastor. His church is half an hour away. There'll be plenty of opportunities to see him. I looked him up a few weeks ago to see if he wanted to go to an alumni event at the seminary with me. I know, it sounds boring and dorky. It is. He sounded awful. A few days later, his wife texted to say that he was in the hospital and unconscious. Liver and kidney failure. And nobody seems to know why. It looks bad. So after the wonderful and inspiring Palm Sunday March for Justice in Oakland, love demands courage. Since I was in Oakland, I stopped to see my sick friend at McGee. He did indeed look awful, bloated, jaundiced, unresponsive. But it was touching to see all the people standing under his cross. All the people who were there with him in his hour of desperate need. Of course, his wife and children. They'd been there for a week, red-eyed and exhausted. But about a dozen of his parishioners were there, too. A cousin who'd driven in from State College. And then there was some pastor I didn't know strumming a guitar and leading everyone in folksy renditions of Be Thou My Vision. And up from the grave he arose. After meeting that guy, I really felt like I need to up my pastoral game. A singing pastor who plays the guitar at your hospital bed. I was deeply moved and pleased to see that my friend had so much love and support surrounding him in his hour of need. But I was also deeply moved in the other direction and not pleased with myself to realize that these singing parishioners were Mary Magdalene and John the beloved disciple, in tireless attendance at the foot of the cross. I was an Andrew, a Philip, a Thomas. I had not stuck by him down through the years. It had been years since I had bothered to call him. I didn't come running when I found out he was sick, because how bad could it be? He's 49. It was convenient for me to visit on Palm Sunday because I was already in that part of town. Surely, don't you think, we should all do better at being there for the people who love us and whom we love and who rely on us while time still allows it? Surely we must all try harder to draw near to the ones that we care about. No one is with us forever, and our time does not go on without end. Aren't our relationships a whole lot more urgent than we treat them? Don't they deserve more than we give them? Last Sunday, we heard Luke's telling of the Passion narrative in all its entirety. Good Friday always defaults to the Gospel of John for some reason. Did you notice some differences between John's version and Luke's version? Like I said already, Jesus does a lot more talking in the Gospel of John. If you look at John, it's mainly red letter. In John, Jesus carries his own cross. Simon of Cyrene is off the hook. In John, Pontius Pilate works pretty hard to try to get Jesus freed. In John, Peter only denies Jesus once. But upon one thing all four Gospels agree: it was mostly the women who stayed under Jesus' cross in his hour of need. And though they cannot agree on which of the many Marys were at the cross, 3 of the 4 Gospels tell us openly and directly that Mary Magdalene stuck it out to the bitter end. We'll talk about her more on Sunday. She even followed to see where they laid his body so that she could come and give him a proper first-century Jewish burial, washing and perfuming the body after the Sabbath. Who was she? Mary Magdalene. Why did she love Jesus so unwaveringly? We don't know, though there are many theories. We do know that whoever she was, she stayed at the foot of the cross, apparently risking her own well-being for being identified as one of Jesus' followers. And her name alone recurs in all accounts. Who will stand at the foot of your cross when your dark day is upon you? Not necessarily the day that you die, but the day that you find yourself on a cross and in need of someone. It's a good question. A better one is this: at the foot of whose cross am I standing today? Who needs me at the foot of their cross? Jesus died a death that was reserved for those who raised their heel against the empire. He died such a death because his message of welcome and inclusion was deemed political. Funny how they call you political when you preach the ethics of Jesus. His words challenged the hierarchical worldview of both government and religion in that time and place. Tyrants always need to scapegoat someone, and Jesus was being scapegoated. It makes the tyrant a hero to have a scapegoat. It distracts our attention away from their abuses. Scapegoating keeps people angry and scared. Jesus was scapegoated in his day, and only 5 of all those crowds and multitudes, only 5 stuck by his side. Who is scapegoated in our times? Who suffers a cross? I think we could name a few. There are many meanings of the cross. God suffers with us, God suffers for us, God knows our pain. There are many, many meanings of the cross. But let me ask you this, a more intimate question. Is there someone in your life at whose cross you ought to be stationed, but are not? Let us not live with regrets. Let us be Marys and beloved Johns, not Thomases or Philips or Andrews. Those who stand by the cross till the end are the first to know the joy of Easter morning. Amen.